You're watching KLTX, Channel 15, serving the city of Lufkin.
Good afternoon and welcome to the first Friday Luncheon of 2019. I'm Terry Morgan, the incoming board chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. I look forward to serving in this capacity, and I look forward to a great year not only for our chamber, our community, and our businesses that make Angelina County a great place to live and work. Tara is not with us today. She is on a business trip, so you're going to have to deal with me and listen to me today. At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Jack Knox of the First Christian Church to come forward and give the invocation.
Thank you. Will you join with me in prayer? Gracious and loving God, we give you thanks for this day and for this opportunity to gather together. We ask your blessing upon this gathering and bless our speaker, Mayor Bob Brown. Bless the conversations and connections that are made this day. And we ask you to bless this food that we have eaten and bless it to the nourishment of our bodies and bless the hands that have prepared it. It's in your Son's most precious name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jack. The Chamber has been working very hard to encourage more businesses to join. I'm happy to tell you that Donna Parrish, our membership recruiter, enrolled over 93 new members last year in the Chamber of Commerce. She's done a great job. And we expect many more to join in the upcoming year. Since we're off to such a good start and we added new members, we want to continue our growth. We have several new businesses that have already joined this year. We're thrilled to have you as a part of the Chamber of Commerce. And I want to encourage each business, when you join the Chamber, get involved. Come to the First Friday luncheons, come to the business after 5, and we also certainly want you to come to the Chamber of Commerce banquet that we'll be having on January the 24th. It's a great organization, and your support and your involvement helps not only the Chamber, but your business to grow. It gets you out there to meet new people that benefits us all. I would like at this time to recognize the newest members to the Chamber. If you would, please stand when I call your name. Angelina College Procurement Assistance Center, Motel 6, Texas Intimacy and Wellness Center, Choice Cut Meats Market, Lamont's Brand Inc., Grease Monkey Midwest, Total Nutrition, the Dental Center of Lufkin, and Buck's Cup of Joe. Let's give the new members a hand and welcome them. Thank you. We all know that it takes sponsors to make events like this happen. I would like to thank and recognize today's sponsors. Our First Friday Luncheon sponsor, Lufkin Cola, Lynn and her crew, appreciate it very much. Our State of the City presenting sponsor, the Lufkin Economic Development Center Corporation. Our State of the City Gold sponsor, Gibson Funeral Home and Encore Electric Delivery. And our Silver sponsor, Hospice in the Pines. Thank you for your support. As always, it's a great honor to have our mayor, Lufkin Bob Brown, speak on the state of the city. Last year it was very interesting when he referred to the corks in the water, and so I hope you got a lot more that you're going to talk about. Anyway, Bob's been serving our city since May of 2012 after spending 40 years of service with Encore. Bob stays very busy serving as our mayor, but also teaches Sunday school class at the First Christian Church and serving on many boards, including the Chamber of Commerce, Salvation Army, Hospice in the Pines, and many others. It's my pleasure to welcome and introduce a great man, our mayor, Lufkin Mayor Bob Brown. Bob.
Thank you, Terry. And Jeff, you got to train him a little better than that. All right. What you're supposed to say is, here's Bob Brown. All that boring stuff. I am pleased to death to be here, and you can't imagine how it warms my heart. And I'm going to get around to something in a minute that really, really is important to me. Well, it's all important, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. And I want to start with some sentimental stuff and then end on I hope a great crescendo. But I first of all want to brag on you as a city, as citizens, for what you do. And this past year, Keith Wright, city manager, reorganized the police and fire department and made Gerald Williamson director of public safety. And one of the real keynote things that happened this year was a tragedy in our community, and Dr. Bonner spoke of it well at our last council meeting. But when Mr. Jethro disappeared, you as a community gathered and worked your heart out to make sure that we found Mr. Jethro. And sure enough, it was a tragedy as it turns out, but the legendary Mr. Jethro, Coach Jethro, Boy Scout Jethro, it came to a peaceful end. And you as a community, Chief David, thank you very much for what you did, and also Chief Ted, thank you for what you did. We as a city helped find somebody and make peace in a family, and we do appreciate all that you did. Now, with that in mind, I would also like to thank the Bernal family for sharing Louis Bernal with us for the last 60 plus years and what he has done in this community, along with Major Jerry French, who fought in 3 wars and was just the most neat guy in the world, and then my hero, Iwo Jima veteran John Powers, that I work with forever. And all of them have passed this last year, and I just wanted from the heart to thank you for honoring them. John Powers was honored at the Veterans Band deal this year, and that just meant everything, Lynn. Thank you for allowing that to happen. But that's part I wanted to say, and then I want to get Jack Knox in this deal. Jack Knox and Stephanie. Stephanie was born and raised here. Jack Knox is a walk-on and is the First Christian Church senior minister, and we are thrilled to death at First Christian Church to have he and his family in our community. Stephanie is Steve and Deborah Moore's daughter and grew up in Lufkin, Texas. So it turned out beautifully that Jack's prayed about it and was brought here. Now, I selfishly bring all of that up for one reason, that I was on the search committee, and I learned more about Lufkin answering 25 candidates' questions about Lufkin than I could have learned any other way. So this past year has been a very educational year for me personally, even though I've been here 40 plus years. Didn't know how many tattoo parlors were in town. Did not know. There were several strange questions that were asked. How many churches are in this town? And I guessed 100 and then ran to City Hall to find out, and we have right at 100 ministers that are eligible to pray at chamber opening of our chamber meetings, our council meetings. And it's been a great year and an educational year. But Jack and Stephanie, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you love it as much as we do when you're all said and done, and I hope that's a long time.
We weren't the ones that asked about the tattoo parlor.
Now, remember that. Jack didn't ask about the tattoo parlor. And guess what? The one that didn't get the job. So I'm sorry I had to bring that up. This past year was as good a year as we've had at the City Council. And Lynn Torres, Superintendent of Schools, Lynn Torres, that just passed a $75 million bond issue. Thank you for what you do in this community. Robert Shankle, you're visible everywhere. Mark Hicks, thank you for what you do. Rocky Thigpen, you gave probably the best First Friday meeting there was. You recognized the moms and pops of this world and in this community, and you did a fabulous job, and we appreciate you very much. Dr. Bonner, you've taught me more than I wanted to know. But you've done it with dignity, and I do appreciate that. If anybody does not know who Ward 6 council member is, it is Sarah Murray. The most history in the district is coming out of Ward 6. Keith Wright has been city manager since November of 2014. Is that correct? And Kara Andropon is the city secretary and keeps us all official and legal. One of the best things that happened this past year was the Fierce 14. They took the Thundering 13's reputation and put it on a next level, and it was one of the best things that happened in the city of Lufkin this past year. Now I'm just going to get into kind of what's going on in Lufkin, and when it's all said and done, and Terry is correct. Last year I stood here and said we had 3 corks in the water, and one of them was out, and the one that was out was American E-Chem. And I will talk a little bit about it later, but one of the real stable, giving, educational parts of this community is Angelina College. They will pattern cut anything that you need done. They will create a course, whether it is the simulators or whatever that needs to be taught to industry, from driving to whatever, healthcare, as well as police force and firework. All of these things, they are willing to make this a better community, and they have done a great job. And Dr. Simon, we thank you for all that you do, and also the board. Joe Deason asked me not to mention his name, Trey, so remember I didn't. But thank you, Board of Angelina College, and thank you, Dr. Simon, for all that goes on in this community. The reason it goes on is because we've got some safety nets, and one of them is the TLR Temple Foundation. Last month's program was a representative of TLR Temple that was talking about industry and how they are creating a committee that helps get Angelina County and Nacogdoches County together. Jane, they mentioned Rufus Jr. was on a committee along with Tim Stacy, but there is nothing wrong with the joining of 180,000 voices rather than a 36,000 voice and a 32,000 voice like Nacogdoches City and Lufkin City. If you get Angelina County and Nacogdoches County together and you talk industry and you talk jobs, you make a whole lot more noise and you make a whole lot better presence with the opinion makers. Trent had to go to work last Tuesday, Trent Ashby, so he is not here. He's on his way home. But anyway, Senator Nichols and Trent Ashby are going to protect everything we do in Austin and make us proud, and I know they will. But please tell Trent and Senator Nichols we said hi. Now let's get to the one cork that was out of the water last year. We told you that Bernard Highland was the district manager of American E-Chem out on Kurth Drive, and he sold his company on an Italian company on making a presence in America in Lufkin, Texas. And because of that, they have committed $8 million in expansion. They're going to create at least 25 new jobs. And to show you how fast things happen, from the announcement last year that they were going to do this, they broke ground about 2 weeks ago. It just takes forever, but it is a real deal. It is coming out of the ground as we speak, and if you'll ride out Kurth Drive and look at American E-Chem, they are on their way to being a viable industry in Lufkin, Texas, and we are extremely excited about what they're going to do. Lockheed Martin, I'm old enough to remember some stuff that y'all don't know. That is that at one time, Democrats and Republicans talked to each other and worked together. Charlie Wilson was probably the smartest Democrat that ever drew a breath. And he was smart enough to get Kay Bailey Hutchinson, our United States Senator from the state of Texas, together and bring Lockheed Martin to Lufkin, Texas 25 plus years ago. They have been here. They have raised the education level of all the high schools in this county. They have done a fabulous job of representing Lufkin all over the world in their rocket business, and they needed to expand. And luckily, there was a building next door to them, and they are the old Ferguson building next door to Lockheed Martin out on the Loop is now part of Lockheed Martin, and they are going to add at least 125 well-paying jobs. That was one of the corks that was in the water this time last year that I couldn't tell you about. It is moving, all is well, they're happy, and we're thrilled to death. Overseas Hardwood, the Robinson family and the Henderson family have been friends for 60 plus years. And the Robinson family is nearly as good as the Henderson family. They are good people. And they wanted a presence in this part of the United States, and they worked with Trey, and they purchased Angelina Hardwood. And they have moved their process to Lufkin, Texas, Dunnigan Warehouse. And it hit me as I was thinking about this talk. I can't wait for one of these days nobody to remember it as Dunnigan Warehouse, but it's Overseas Hardwood that old Rocky Thigpen runs. And that's going to happen. Rocky did a great job when he represented Overseas Hardwood. But the Robinson family is just a neat, neat family. And we are thrilled to death, Rocky, that you're part of their process. This was the third cork that was under the water. And that was there was going to be a sawmill built in Angelina County. They had a couple of sites they were looking at, and out of the clear blue sky between Baker Hughes and GE, there was a decision made to close the Buck Creek trailer plant and move all of that operation to town, town being Lufkin, town being Angelina Street. There was some young and restless, some third and fourth generation family that got with a Baker Hughes guy that had been head of the Russian operation at one time with Baker Hughes, that Baker Hughes said, go to Lufkin and sell something. And he came and met with a group of people. Stephen Rayleigh is going to be the only name that I mention, but Stephen Rayleigh is in charge of putting in a brand new, state-of-the-art, $100 million sawmill at the trailer plant and bring new life on 69 South to Angelina County. It could have been in Lufkin. It's going to be there, and we're not unhappy at all. We are thrilled to death, first of all, with the 150 plus jobs that will be at the sawmill. We're also very thankful for the 140 truckloads of wood that will come in there per day and the 50 truckloads a day that will haul it out. But I rode out there recently, and it just gives you a thrill to see the hustle and bustle of something that was fixing to be mothballed and be put up for sale. They breathed new life into it. Angelina Forest Products is the name of the sawmill, and they will, as I say, employ over 150 people. But if you could have seen the concrete trucks, if you could have seen the track hoes, if you could have seen the electricians' trucks, if you could have seen all the labor that was out there, if you could see the new crane, it's yellow. You can see it for 28 miles, even here in Lufkin. But it's going to be a landmark for Angelina County, and it's going to be a new sawmill between here and Huntington, Texas. And I want you to share that it's going to be the neatest thing that's happened. And now I'm going to give you a history lesson. I worked for an electric company that at one time, this district of Lufkin was one of the most profitable places in old Texas Power and Light, TXU, because we had a paper mill, we had a foundry called Texas Foundry, and we had a foundry called Lufkin Industries, all three in Lufkin, Texas. When you mailed a bill, you mailed them to Lufkin, Texas. In about 6 months, we will be, as a community, able to send bills to a home-owned company called Angelina Forest Products, 75901. And I hope that you begin to get the significance of what it means that we have people that are willing to invest in this community and be part of this community and not be ashamed of calling themselves a family-owned company, because it's going to be the best thing. It's going to be the shot in the arm that we needed in Lufkin, Texas. To show you how brilliant they are, they went ahead and recruited their own first customer. And they went to Illinois, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as they bring them here. That's right, I'm sorry, Jim. Jim Watkins came from somewhere up in there. But thanks, Lynn, for hiring him. Sterling makes a pallet type thing. Nolan, I saw Nolan Brandt here. Nolan, thank you for being here. Nolan Smith runs the operation part of Encore. The decision makers in Dallas in the electric business do not understand what happens if it rains 70 inches in East Texas. But you can't get off the driveway or off the hard surface. They make a pallet that is pre-made and will allow oil trucks, utility trucks, all kinds of trucks to environmentally protect the earth as you move these heavy-duty trucks up and down off the hard surface. Riding out to the plant the other day, I don't know whether they knew we were just riding out there, but they put on a real demonstration. There were 3 truckloads of pallets from Sterling already in the facility that is we would begin to call it now Angelina Forest Products. But Angelina Forest Products will make the lumber, convey it over to Sterling. Sterling is a company that their last name is Sterling, and the person that we met was named Carter Sterling, and he knows more about the timber business and the pallet business than any person I've ever been around. But they are going to be a tremendous ambassador for Lufkin, Texas, Angelina County, because they will make this environmentally favorable ground protection device, and because they will either sell them to you or they'll rent them to you. You can go either way. But it's going to be one of the best industries. They had a job fair about a month ago, a 2-day, I think, job fair. Over 400 people came and kicked tires with them. So, and they hired 25 on the spot. They're not going to literally be making pallets in Angelina County for another 6 or 8 months. But they are already in business. They've already got inventory on the ground, and they are going to take up about 300,000 square feet of the trailer plant. So they're going to make a good neighbor, and we're extremely excited that they're here. Everybody knows we hired Bob Sanford, especially his mother, Mary. Bob Sanford heard about a company in Wisconsin that was growing and bursting at the seams. Tony, I'm sorry. And they were looking for a place to expand. And it's my understanding that they hired a consultant to do that, and he went around looking, and obviously more than 1,000 locations were involved, and they all had a facility or a place to welcome twin disc to their part of the country. Bob Sanford got on a plane and went to see them. Went to the plant, invited them to come look at Lufkin, Texas, and if it would quit raining, they would start scratching ground in the morning. But they have bought a site at the business park on 103, and Twin Disc will employ, 40 people to start with? They are Lufkin Industries 35 or 40 years ago. They are a machine shop. They can do anything. They've got huge customers. Luftex is part of their. They know all of these people, and I just see good partnering going on with Twin Disc being in our community. They also are a very tightly held, publicly traded company. But they are going to, at least first year, have 40 employees, and will have hopefully 150 employees when they get through, when Sanford gets through with them. But it is, again, one of the best stories. But this was a cork that was not in the water last year. So we are extremely pleased with what Bob Sanford has done, and want to recognize him for what he's done. I've recognized the police department and the fire department. I did not say this, Chief Ted. 13,400 of you called the fire department this past year. We were busy. But the best thing I think that you can talk about is the attitude not only of the fire department, but also the police department. I hope you don't notice it as well as I do. Probably you don't drive as fast as I do. But I see a cop everywhere. They are busy. They have a great presence in this community, and that makes me feel safe. And I'm pleased to death with what's happening. We've got all kinds of things happening. I would like for you to refer back to Christmas of this year. The city gets off on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That happened to be Monday and Tuesday. No trash was picked up Monday and no trash was picked up Tuesday. 22,000 containers were emptied Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I never got a call. They did their job. So solid waste, every department in the city of Lufkin is efficient. They run themselves well. It is all to the brilliant leadership of Keith Wright. I know that. But we are pleased with what's going on. Now, I saved Twin Disc for last for one reason, is that Tim Stacy, who is a 30-plus year employee of Lufkin Industries GE Baker Hughes, is now the general manager of Twin Disc in Lufkin, Texas. He shared with us recently at a council meeting that when the owner, one of the decision makers, set the plane down at Angelina County Airport, he was welcomed and treated better than he had ever been treated in his life. And they didn't have a clue who he was. And this fits in with the end of my speech. You never know who you're talking to, so treat them all with respect and dignity. I've said it from this same microphone before, but it horrifies me to think some waitress that got up in a bad mood, some service station attendant had a bad day, but just happens to snap at the wrong person that's making a decision where to put a $150 million project. So each day, this will make a good sermon someday, Jack. Remember, how you treat people means everything. And you do as good a job as any city I've ever seen. And that thrills me to death. Jess Huff got in a Honda car, I guess. Ford Mustang, excuse me. And drove from Utah to Lufkin, Texas about 9 months, 10 months ago. How long you been here?
Since April.
Okay, since April. Didn't know a soul, but has done as good a job at Lufkin Daily News that has ever been done. I thought we couldn't live without Steve Knight. I honestly did. but we did. And Jess, it's because of you, and we appreciate everything you do. Now, I'll end with this. What city, population 36,000, has a newspaper that singles out economic development bringing hundreds of jobs to the area? That was the #1 story in 2018. I challenge you to make it the same story in 2019. Thank you.
Mayor, as always, great job. Thank you very much. Nicole, she want to go over the announcements?
Mayor, thank you so much for that presentation. I think I would speak on behalf of all of us and say that I think we can all leave here encouraged today, going back to our jobs and wanting to do a better job at making this a great place to live, work, and play, as our president loves to say. Tara was really disappointed she couldn't be here today to hear you. She just happens to be on a business trip securing our entertainment for Texas State Forest Festival coming up in September. So she sends her regards to you all and wishes that she could be here with you today. I just have a couple of announcements that we want to go over. Next Friday, January 18th, is Power Networking Breakfast, and that's at the Chamber at 8 o'clock in the morning. Holiday Travel is going to be giving that presentation on all the great places to take a vacation. And in case you didn't notice, also, speaking of vacation, Early Presbyterian Center is out front selling raffle tickets for vacations. So you can buy a $20 raffle and hopefully you'll win. Our biggest announcement today, and I hope you guys will all listen to this because it's the most important thing we want to mention, and that is Thursday, January 24th is our 99th annual chamber banquet. We're going into this is our 99th banquet. So we're going into our 100th year. A lot of exciting things. We have a new president, lots of new people on staff, lots of new ideas, new things coming that we really want to share with you. Jill Roberson is going to be out front as you leave. If you do want to reserve a table, you can do that today. You don't have to pay for it today. She'll invoice you. But please come and hear all the good things that are happening with the chamber. I think the mayor made it very obvious what a great city we live in. So we hope that you'll come and join us for that. Tuesday, January 29th is Business After 5 at Angelina College, and they are celebrating their 50th year anniversary. So it's a big one for them. We want to celebrate that with them. And Friday, February 20th is Lufkin Angelina County Day in Austin. If you got your chamber packet this week, then you would have gotten your flyer, so you'll know how to RSVP for that and get registered for that. So I think that's all we have today, but we do want to do a drawing here if you would like to pick a name. For all of you who registered before 5 o'clock yesterday, Kyle Swift. Where is Kyle? Is he still here? Okay, Kyle, if you'll see Jill as you walk out, she will get your $100 gift. Thank you guys for being here. That's all we have for today.